Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Poway Unified School District Board of Education on November 9th, 2023. The time is now 6:02 p.m. Please note this meeting may be recorded or broadcasted at the direction of the board, and the recording or broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Now, I invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. We'll now proceed to the report out of closed session. Clerk, Dr. Seitzma.
Thank you, Madam President. Closed session began at 5:06 p.m. In the matter of conference with legal counsel pending existing litigation, case number ADR 10262023, on a motion by O'Connor Ratcliffe and a second by Couvret, the board voted unanimously to approve the settlement agreement. In the matter of conference with legal counsel pending existing litigation, case number OAH 2023-050614, on a motion by O'Connor Ratcliffe and a second by Seitzma, the board voted unanimously to approve the settlement agreement. There was no other reportable action taken during closed session. Closed session was adjourned at 5:10.
Thank you, Clerk Seitzma. We'll now proceed to members in attendance. We have all board members and our student board member in attendance. Item 3.4, welcome to the public. Ms. Trivedi.
Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Board of Education. If you would like to address the board on any agenda item, please complete a speaker slip. All requests to speak must be submitted to the clerk of the board before the agenda item comes up. Speaking time for agenda items is 2 minutes per speaker and 12 minutes total per item. If you would like to address the board on a non-agendized item, you may do so under item 4.2, public comments. Speaking time is limited to 2 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 30 minutes total unless waived by the board president. There will be a 30-second yellow warning light when time is running out. Speakers may only speak on one topic under item 4.2 and may not defer their speaking time to another individual. If there are concerns regarding specific individuals, it is preferred that the speaker refrain from naming them publicly to respect their privacy. The board will accept and review any written materials that would provide more specific information. The Brown Act does not permit board action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda, but your concerns will be referred to staff. With that said, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ms. Trivedi. We are now on 3.5, approval of agenda sequence. Is there a motion to approve the sequence?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second on a motion by O'Connor Ratcliffe, second by Plotsky. With the preferential vote? Aye. The rest of the board, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. We are now on item 4, which are oral presentations. We'll be hearing from our student board representatives at this time. First up, from Del Norte High School, Aliyah Rush Canteen. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Aliyah, and I am the ASB president at Del Norte High School. The last time that I was here, it was actually the first week of school, so it's been a while since I got to share about what the Nighthawks have done. So there's a lot to cover from then to now. So to start, Del Norte recently got into the Halloween spirit at the end of last month. Best Buddies held our annual trunk or treat event where many different clubs and sports were invited to participate in the festivities. Our school parking lot was lined with decorated cars where we could all pass out candy, wear costumes, and have fun with friends. On the day of Halloween, ASB also hosted a costume contest on Instagram, letting the students vote for their favorite costume of the season. On top of showing our spooky spirit, our students have also been coming together to fill the stands for our varsity sports team senior nights. We have gotten the opportunity to join boys water polo, girls volleyball, field hockey, and football in their celebrations. Lastly, we also got the opportunity to learn about different clubs and cultures on our campuses through our Trimester 1 Club Rush. Over the span of 3 days, we had close to 60 clubs participate and get to share about everything that they do, helping other students find clubs that they would want to join. On top of that, all week long, Del Norte students have been studying very hard. Today was actually our last day of finals week, so students will be taking a very well-deserved break over this upcoming 3-day weekend. To help our 9th graders study, Link Crew held our annual snack and study. After school on Monday, freshmen were invited to the library for free cookies and study help from upperclassmen. Now we will be entering the second trimester of the school year, where students will get to meet new teachers and enter new courses. On top of that, 12th graders are also deep into the process of college applications at this point. Many students submitted to school's early action at the beginning of this month, and more due dates are quickly approaching. To minimize the amount of stress as much as possible, our counselors have been kind enough to set up application workshops on Wednesday mornings to help seniors through the application process. And as of yesterday, multiple Nighthawk athletes actually got their opportunity to take their next step and sign to their respective colleges. And then sophomores and juniors are also preparing for their next step early on by taking the PSAT 2 weeks ago, getting firsthand experience on the test in hopes of improving their scores later on. And then on top of our fun events and academic focuses, our campus has also been striving to stay globally aware. 2 weeks ago was Red Ribbon Week, where our peer counseling program put on 2 spirit days and held informational tables during the lunch period throughout the week for those who wanted to learn more. Coming up in third period classes on Tuesday, students will be getting the opportunity to sign the No Place for Hate pledge, making Del Norte a No Place for Hate school this year. Next week, we also have 2 week-long events. One of them is the Thanksgiving Food Drive, which will be hosted by peer counseling. People will have the opportunity to drop off food in front of the school to give back to families before the upcoming holiday. ASB is also putting on our annual Global Uplift project, where we collect cash donations from students to give to underprivileged areas of the world. This year, we are giving the raised money to schools in Tanzania to put toward building resources and classroom equipment. In the Thanksgiving spirit, I wanted to say that I am beyond grateful to be able to have the opportunity to represent my school and share with you the great achievements of all of our Nighthawks. I look forward to sharing more of my school's events in the future. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Next, from Abraxas High School, we have Chloe Hale. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me to present to the board. My name is Chloe Hale. We have two programs at Abraxas High School, the diploma program and our transition program. I am currently a student in our diploma program. The students in our transition program have been working at their job sites since the first quarter, and also students in transition will be working with providers from our transition partnership program to learn how to write their resumes. 25 students participate in a food handler's degree, in a food handler's class, earning their food handler certificate, allowing them to work in a restaurant industry. Weekly career presentations continue for our Abraxas diploma students. The presentations are led by professionals in variety of industries. The presentations have focused on careers in trades and military. In addition, diploma students have participated in presentations from Miramar Community College and the San Diego College of Continuing Education. Students have also participated in field trips to Universal Technical and Electric Training Institutes and will be going on a tour of Palomar Community College. The Abraxas Garden continues to produce and donate food to families in need. The garden has now surpassed our 20,000 pound mark in donation produce. The garden's empty bowl event on September 8th was a huge success. The culinary program prepared and served soups, many soup options, and bowls made by our students and volunteers in our ceramic program. Proceeds from that event support Abraxas students facing house and food insecurities. The Abraxas Safe Promise Club hosted a suicidal awareness prevention presentation to students. The club also hosted a Bring Change to Mind presentation to increase awareness of and normalize mental health issues among peers and adults. Finally, the club hosted our spooktacular event to bring our two programs together as well as to boost our school spirit. This is my last presentation to the Board of Education. I will be soon graduating from Abraxas High School from the diploma program 6 months early and want to take a moment to tell all of you how Abraxas gave me a second chance to get my life back on track, and I now have a plan for my life after high school, and I have learned the skills that will help me make that plan a reality. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you, Abraxas.
Thank you, Chloe. You did a fabulous job, and congratulations. Next, from Oak Valley Middle School, we have Bryce Hawkins and Colton Spencer. Welcome.
Hello, board members, Superintendent Phelps, Poway staff, and PUSD community. My name is Colton Spencer,
And my name is Bryce Hawkins.
and we are here to proudly represent Oak Valley Middle School to let you know what we have been up to. OVMS is an exciting place to belong to, and we have many new things happening this year. This year, our school is able to start an ACES program. Our ACES coordinator, Mr. Rocco, is awesome and has created after-school activities for many of our Falcons. With the ACES program, we have a cross-country team, 3 soccer teams, and a flag football team that is so far undefeated. We've been playing other PUSD schools, and it has really given us pride in our Falcon family. We just had basketball team tryouts, and we would love to see you at one of our games this coming month. In addition to all of the sports, our new ACES program also oversees after-school clubs such as the Film and Video Protection Club, the Photography Club, and our Robotics Club. We also have other clubs meeting during lunch, and right now there are over 23 clubs and activities happening during lunch or after school for students to find how they belong at OVMS. Speaking of new places, we also have a new elective for our 6th graders this year. It's a photography elective and exposes our students in the wheel elective to different photographers and techniques. It is part of the CTE pathway, and we are hoping to have a photo 1 next year and a photo 2 the following year.
To kick off our new year, we hosted a 6th grade ice cream social on the quad and just had a 7th grade and 8th grade Halloween dance. It was an informal after-school event for the 7th and 8th graders that had pizza, caramel apple slices, and a DJ. The students danced all night and had a blast. We were also able to have our photography club students capturing images at the event and set up a photo booth. We also hosted a trivia contest after school and had 10 teams compete against each other. ASB just finished our 3rd annual Socktober. We had a philanthropy event called Socktober where we encouraged students to donate a brand new pair of socks. We ended up getting over 250 pairs of socks, which were donated to the Poway Youth in Transition organization, who we have partnered with for different fundraisers. Our biggest event of the year is coming up in December, and you can consider this your formal invitation. It's almost time for crafts and cocoa. This will be an after-school event for all grades in Oak Valley where they can get hot cocoa and participate in many winter-themed crafts and games. Students go home with all kinds of homemade treats, and our ACES teams will be running our carnival games. If you haven't figured it out by now, our ASB is always busy. We look forward to creating our school gratitude treat, collecting for our school giving treat, and every Fun Falcon Friday competition.
Our mission in our ASB is to bring spirit, fun, and belonging to school, and we believe we do this each and every day. We are both 8th graders and have been part of the ASB since we started at Oak Valley as 6th graders. We have both seen Oak Valley grow tremendously through the years, and we know that there is still more to come. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Bryce and Colt. Finally, from Los Pen Elementary School, we have Zaishan Jones, Kaylia Navarro, and Fatima Wali. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Ishan Jones. I am here to talk about what Los Pen means to me. Los Pen means patience, good teachers, college dreams, reaching goals, and friendship. The teachers at Los Pen have so much patience even when students learn differently. At my old school, I didn't have good grades because they didn't teach me well. But when I moved to Los Pen, my grades went up a lot. My teachers taught me so much. I think about college because all of our classrooms are named after colleges. I want to go to LSU or SDSU. We even get to learn about the college that our classroom is named after. Our teachers pushed us to be better. Los Pen has lots of events where you can get to know your friends outside of the classroom. So I want to say thank you to Los Pen for teaching me so well.
Hi, my name is Fatima. I am a fifth grader in Los Pen Elementary School. I have been studying at Los Pen since TK, and from my experience, Los Pen is an amazing place. I have learned a lot from my teachers in the areas of math, writing, reading, science, and social studies. Los Pen is also a great place to find new friends from all around the world. For example, you can find friends from New York, India, Africa, Europe, and more. Los Pen is also a school of good character and expect students to follow the 6 pillars. If you don't know them, they are trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. With these 6 pillars, they make Los Pen a fun place for everyone. And speaking of fun, Los Pen is the master of fun with events like Fall Festival, College Field Day, and field trips. I hope all the best. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kenya Bond. I'm the school counselor at Los Pen, and Kalia is actually on her first international flight, and so I'll be reading on her behalf. It is privileged to be a fifth grader at Los Pen. I am involved in student council as our No Place for Hate ambassador, and I serve as our safety patrol captain. Los Pen is off to a great start for the school year. We recently have had a lot of exciting activities and accomplishments. One is our bi-monthly Friday flags. Our principal, Ms. McLaughlin, always sings fun raps, and the whole school takes part in helping to sing the raps with her. The raps are to acknowledge the valedictorian and character count award winners. Every month, there is a new valedictorian from each class. They earn free kids' meals to celebrate their academic and behavioral excellence. Teachers also give out character count awards if a student is going above and beyond at showing good character. At the end of every Friday flag, a different grade level has each class perform their college chants. To conclude Friday flag, student council leads the school in the Los Pen chant. A few weeks ago, the whole school celebrated Red Ribbon Week. The whole school dressed up in spirit days each day to represent Red Ribbon Week. There was a raffle in each class for students who participated in the spirit days. Winners of the raffles received prizes. Some of the spirit days include dress up as your favorite book or movie character, wacky day, and wear red from head to toe. I can't remember a person who wasn't smiling that week. At the beginning of the school year, we hold Start with Hello Week to help every student feel welcome for joining our school. The first day we wore name tags to encourage us to say hello to someone new. On other days, we did things like write a kind note to someone or sit next to somebody new during lunch. We always love to include and make everyone feel welcome. At Los Pen, we also have our second step lessons, which help prevent things such as bullying and excluding others. Each year, we learn different strategies to prevent this from help make our school a safe place for all. Running Club encourages kids to get their exercise and run on Fridays. They also earn stickers or toe tokens as a reward for their running. At certain Friday flags, the class with the highest amount of laps wins a golden shoe. There are 2 golden shoes, so that one upper grade and one lower grade has a winner each time. Our big give. Our school launched the Big Give, which is really fun fundraiser put on by the PTA. The Big Give is used to reach a goal for raising money. If we reach a certain benchmark, we get school-wide rewards and fun activities. I'm happy to report that our school met our fundraising goal. Our PTA is very good at encouraging everyone to make our school a better place. Each year, PTA puts on a fall festival. 4th and 5th graders can work at the Haunted House Gross Pen Lab. There are also different games, booths that students can volunteer or play to win candy. Each classroom decorates and sets up their own booth. We have music, costume contests, and lots of fun. It's a great way to start fall fun and Halloween. Safety Patrol was recently chosen to be part of the San Diego County Safety Patrol competition. This hasn't happened at Los Pen for a while. For this, we are inspected, monitored to possibly be chosen for the best Safety Patrol squad of the year. We hope to reach our goal of winning during the holiday party. Safety Patrol puts on fun activities for 5th grade Safety Patrol members like going to Padres games, rock and jump, and upcoming goals hockey game for the holiday party. Los Pen is really a great place for kids. We all enjoy it and have fun. Disney always says it's the happiest place on earth, but I think Los Pen is. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Zayshan, Fatima, and Kalia, and the counselor on behalf of her. Students, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, or at this time, you can go return to your evenings. Thank you for attending our meeting today. And for those standing in the back, there are now chairs in the front if you would like a front row seat. We're now on item 4.2, individuals wishing to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or items of specific concerns may do so at this time. A couple of reminders as we have many newcomers to tonight's board meeting. Public speakers must fill out a speaker slip with your complete name as well as the subject topic you wish to speak on, and submit it to Ms. Anderson before the agenda item is called. The board reserves the right to group speakers on the same topic together. Speaking time is limited to 2 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 30 minutes total unless waived by the board president. This is due to the necessity to conduct the district's business in an orderly and efficient manner. Thus, submitting a card does not guarantee you will be able to speak, although all cards submitted will be retained as public record. Members of the public with the same viewpoint may select a few individuals to address the board on behalf of that viewpoint. We would like to remind you that if there are concerns regarding specific individuals, it is preferred the speaker refrain from naming them publicly, and the appropriate complaint process can be obtained from Ms. Anderson. The board will not allow any disturbance or willful interruption that disrupts the business of the board. We have a practice and an expectation to continue conducting our meetings with decorum, respect, and civility. With that, Clerk Seitzma, do we have public comments under item 4.2?
We do.
Please proceed.
Tom Paraudo?
Good evening. We're all aware of the unsubstantiated allegations made by one of your senior employees concerning last year's softball banquet. We're also aware of ample video evidence and personal testimony to dispute that allegation. But what concerns me most is a flawed investigation. As coaches presenting awards, we had the best view of the events of the evening, yet not a single coach was consulted about the events of that evening. Is that not suspicious? How can that possibly be considered a legitimate, comprehensive investigation? The list of abuses of power include directly contacting a student at midnight following the banquet without consulting the parents, after not getting a desired response, blatantly threatening that student and 9 other softball players with losing their senior graduation privileges, another clear abuse. After more inappropriate direct contact with students, she then threatened a junior player with exclusion from all extracurricular activities for her senior year, including not only softball but other activities such as Best Buddies Club, where she mentors special needs students, even threatening a forced transfer to another school if not admitting to unsubstantiated allegations. Because I had exposed these abuses in emails to the board members, she then falsely accused me of verbally attacking a member of the board in the district parking lot, using this as justification to have me fired from coaching at softball at Del Norte. Only problem is, one, before this evening, I've never met any of you. Number two, at the time this act supposedly occurred, I was vacationing in Maui. She also made a statement with more far-reaching implications, stating I was not to be allowed around the girls. This opens up both the employee and the board to legal action regarding numerous charges, including defamation and wrongful termination. You wouldn't accept this behavior from any other employee, so why accept it from your most senior? Without action, the board is as complicit as the employee. Your job is to protect the mental and physical well-being of our children, the students of Poway Unified, from such abuses. Please do your job. Thank you.
Michael Roberts.
Good evening. My name is Mike Roberts. I'm a parent of 3 kids that graduated from Del Norte. My youngest just graduated and is currently at Pomona playing softball. I wanted to raise our concerns as parents and what we witnessed with the Del Norte athletic, specifically the varsity softball program, and the over-involvement of school administrators. There was a banquet where one of the senior administrator's daughters apparently didn't get cheered loud enough for when receiving an award, and that set off this administrator to make phone calls and then proceed to make a number of posts to social media. Essentially, it sounded like her complaint was because her daughter wasn't cheered loud enough for, this was some evidence of bullying and action had to be taken. She made threats to students, the post to social media, and then threatened the students that she felt conspired with this junior to not clap for her daughter at a banquet, that they wouldn't be allowed to graduate. My daughter was one of those students. My daughter's never bullied anybody, ever. For her to be disparaged by an administrator with no evidence that my daughter had any involvement in what she alleged was wrong. Those posts are probably hanging up behind me. They're awful. The program, I've been a coach, I've been a board member, I've coached probably, I don't know, thousands of kids. I have never seen a more toxic program for youth sports in 20 plus years of doing this. Never seen it. Thank you.
Ted Buchan.
My name is Ted Buchan, and I have 2 daughters that attend Del Norte High School. I also coach a travel softball team. When O.J. Simpson was on trial, can you imagine the public outrage if O.J.'s father was the judge and all of the jurors on the case were his employees? The conflict of interest would be comical. In choosing a superintendent, one might look for the following traits: experience, a history of treating employees fairly, having the kids' best interests top of mind, and a strong moral compass. What should be the steps taken by this board if the following occurred under the authority of that superintendent? 4 of these issues have already been brought up tonight: the unsolicited phone call, threats to softball players, clapping loud enough. And lastly, the superintendent whose daughter is a pitcher on the team filing a bully charge against a student who is the star pitcher on the same team. The community wants to know, what authority does this board possess to investigate whether someone in this position is abusing the power of their position and police their actions? The community wants to know why the board has not used its authority to date to right the wrongs that are being committed. The community wants to know why dozens of text messages and emails have been sent to the board with no response. The legendary quality of Poway Unified School District is what motivated many of us to move here. What has happened here smells foul. It looks wrong, and it sounds inconsistent with all that Poway Unified is known for. How many different human senses must be offended for this board to act?
Miranda Mosqueda.
Hello, my name is Miranda Mosqueda, and I'm a senior and softball player at Del Norte High School, and I, along with my teammates, were at the softball banquet on May 30th. To be honest, it was the best banquet I've attended. Everyone was happy and cheering and supporting one another, but little did we know, one of the parents thought that her daughter didn't get enough claps. She started an investigation, and 5 months later, we're all still dealing with this. She made life hell for 10 seniors, threatening to bar them from their own graduation if they didn't admit that they did something they didn't do. These seniors are our friends and didn't do anything wrong. Neither did the other student who this parent also threatened and even had investigated. This parent has a lot of power in our school district. She used her power and influence to bully our students and essentially break up our softball program at Del Norte. This is my senior year at Del Norte. I was very excited to represent my school during my senior season and get to play with all my friends for the last time before we had to go to college. But now, many of us are afraid to play this year for fear of being harassed and intimidated. With all that said, I think it's finally time we ask ourselves, who is a real bully in this situation?
Alan Stockton.
My name's Alan Stockton, and I've been the softball coach at Del Norte since the school first opened. This will be the 14th season for the softball program, and while we've had our ups and downs, we've never had to deal with the toxic environment we're now experiencing. We've gone from being a well-respected high school program to seeing if we'll even field teams this year. We have girls that have played softball for many years who are now contemplating not even playing because of the current turmoil that exists. These players are wanting to know the status of their teammates and coaches before deciding whether they want to continue playing. We, as coaches, work with these girls every day at practice, games, and spend lots of time talking with them on and off the field. To say there aren't some differences between teammates, especially during practices and highly competitive games, would be false. Always has been and always will be. Spirited competition which brings out the emotions. Unfortunately, these girls don't know who they can trust going forward because of how the situation has been handled. These girls shouldn't be having to deal with this situation because of the way the grown-ups have acted. Again, it's one thing to handle drama among teenage girls because we expect that, but to have threats made against them by a powerful person is preposterous. Then this targeted accusation against one individual player has completely been disavowed by several people who have first-hand information, not hearsay, but never were consulted about the incident. I and 4 other coaches were at the softball banquet where this vendetta started, were never contacted about the so-called incident. The investigation has completely been one-sided without proper vetting, and to suspend a student's extracurricular privileges without a fair process is absurd. If I or any of my fellow coaches were to violate this code of conduct and ethics, we would have been dismissed immediately from our coaching positions. This board has been made aware of this situation and has chosen to completely ignore it. Thus, we're at the point showing up at the board meeting in numbers, hoping they will finally recognize there's a problem at Del Norte and throughout the PUSD that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Stuart Cook.
Those crackers, the trans covenant killer wrote, using the same anti-white language being used in PUSD today. As my daughter's friend was called a cracker in the quad at Del Norte. I warned about rampant racism in the district, and many parents and students spoke at recent school board meetings about it. I provided more than adequate documentation for this to all the people in front of us, and none of these concerns have been addressed. So now that we know people are being radicalized by anti-white ideology to shoot up schools, are we going to stop the anti-white rhetoric in this district? Teachers and administrators told me and my daughter that white male perspective needs to be done away with, and that we need to rewrite the textbook because it's too white. Part of our curriculum actually says that white people are unconsciously oppressive, and that white people believe every negative word about people of color. This shows that our DEI program is either not working or that the actual goal of our DEI program is to foment hatred of whites. How is it possible that this hateful stereotyping of white people is not known by the teachers of these classes? The curriculum some of this hateful language comes from has no references, but it's being taught as fact in our ethnic studies program and other places. I asked for this before, and I'm asking again. We need to have transparent, objective measures for our DEI programs to either make sure they're working for our students or shut them down. Also, any and all curriculum used in our school district must have credible references in order to verify accuracy of the material that they're being taught.
Rebecca Oakley.
Just finishing my comments from last time. In Mirabelli, the plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction included a declaration by Erica E. Anderson, who is a transgender woman and a former president of the U.S. arm of WPATH. Dr. Anderson states that version 7 of WPATH Standards of Care recognizes it is appropriate for parents to decide whether to allow a social transition for their children. Dr. Anderson further opines that parental involvement is necessary and that school-facilitated transition without parental consent interferes with parents' ability to pursue a careful assessment and/or a therapeutic approach, and that no professional medical organization to which Dr. Anderson is aware of recommends that school officials facilitate the social transition of a child or adolescent without parental knowledge or consent. This and much more, as Judge Benitez notes in that order, was, quote, unrebutted by the state of California. As Judge Benitez explained, the Supreme Court of the United States has historically and repeatedly declared that parents have the right, grounded in the Constitution, to direct the education, health, and upbringing, and to maintain the well-being of their children. Judge Benitez cited 9 Supreme Court cases spanning over 100 years to this effect. Meyer v. Nebraska, 1923. The American people have always regarded education and acquisition of knowledge as matters of supreme importance, which should be diligently promoted, corresponding to the control that is the natural duty of the parent to give his child education suitable to the upbringing in life. Pierce v. Society of Sisters, 1925. The liberty of parents and guardians to direct the upbringing and education of the children under their control. The child is not the mere creature of the state. Those who nurture them and direct his destiny have the right, coupled with a high duty, to recognize and prepare him for additional obligations. Prince v. Massachusetts, 1944. It is cardinal with us that the custody, care, and nurture of the child reside first with the parents, whose primary function and freedom include preparation for obligations the state can neither
Rochelle Babler.
Recently, several parents and community advocates sent emails to the board members regarding the harassing and inappropriate behavior by our superintendent. Details and witness statements were provided, and a formal complaint was submitted to the board by one of the victims' families via law firm. The board has done nothing with this information other than an attempt to sweep it under the rug. Failure to take action due to pending or existing complaints litigation is no longer an effective diversion tactic. You have pages of evidence that the person with the most power in the district, the superintendent, is harassing and bullying students and families herself. You have the text messages, you have her social media posts, you have the witness statements, and she isn't even on administrative leave. Kind of feels and smells like political corruption to me. What makes me curious as to what it makes me curious as to what goes on behind the scenes when the board members have seen evidence to justify termination of an employee and do nothing. What secret conversations have you had? Emails, text messages, private conversations. What favors are being exchanged? The community deserves to know, and we will find out. I have been informed by many that this incident has created fear of retaliation, intimidation, nightmares, anxiety, and mental instability amongst multiple students and families. As the events are revealed and more is shared to the public, the superintendent will be subject to appropriate discipline, and each of you will be held accountable for your deliberate inaction. I want you all to take a look at these families and children here, and those watching tonight in the camera, those that were afraid to come here to speak tonight. If you do nothing and don't fire the superintendent today, you are telling them that you do not care about their safety, mental health, and well-being, and that you support unethical behavior, bullying, and abuse of power. You have a duty to protect our children, and there is only one option for this circumstance. Fire the superintendent today.
Shane M. Shane.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I started talking with admin about the potential issues the district might face because of biases of teachers in May 2021. I started speaking about this with retired Learning Support Superintendent Osborne, who I just heard was rehired, in summer 2021. We had a meeting with her, then I spoke about this problem at subsequent board meetings and again in Zoom meetings, in-person meetings with Osborne. I wanted to know why anti-Semitic authors Linda Sarsour and Ilhan Omar's books were a part of ethnic studies and English classes. They are linked to terrorists like Hamas and Hezbollah and more. Authors who vilify black people have never had books added to these classes. You ignored me. I kept asking and warning about the activist teachers. Coincidentally, Kristallnacht 85 years ago tonight was also ignored. Well, we've come full circle now. This just happened at Westview. Your ethnic studies activist teacher went after a Jewish student who was upset by the massacre on October 7, who had contacted the teacher asking to have a discourse in class, totally appropriate because ethnic studies is the study of ethnic groups. Your activist teacher also went after other Jewish teens in the classroom. She broke California and federal education codes. She harassed and intimidated kids, and it appears she was proud of her behavior. You've now had 3 teachers talked about recently who have documented formal complaints against them, 2 of them for years. If you will allow a choir teacher, band teacher to throw things at kids, yell at them, bring them to tears, come in intoxicated, I worry that you are comfortable with your activist teacher singling out Jewish kids. Even if you won't do anything about it, I can sleep at night knowing that there are people and kids watching and paying attention now. At some point, this will blow up and you'll see it in the media one day. I think I mentioned something about best and brightest at the last board meeting. Here's another perfect example.
Citizen.
Thank you. My name is Brandy Roberts, and I'm also here to talk about the softball banquet that occurred on May 30th. I thought the banquet was great, as many people have said. I have 2 daughters who have gone through the program at Del Norte. I've been to many banquets. This was by far the best I've ever attended. Unfortunately, the next morning, my daughter woke up to a host of texts from her softball teammates saying that one of them had had a call from a senior administrator late the night before, and that if the seniors did not apologize for not clapping for her daughter, they would not be allowed to walk at graduation. Everyone was in shock. No one knew what was happening. This was a complete response that no one had expected. Unfortunately, my daughter's last 10 days at Del Norte, along with her 9 senior teammates, was very, very stressful. It was stressful to all of our families, and the threat of not being able to walk at graduation was extremely upsetting. This is a situation that cannot be repeated. You can't have a position in extreme immense amount of power making threats to students. I used to be very, very proud that my daughters were graduates of Del Norte and the Poway School District, and I can't say that anymore. Please help.
Frank Zhu.
Yeah, good evening, Team PUSD. My name is Frank Xu. The phrase Team PUSD should make you proud. To deserve Team PUSD, you must uphold high standards. Board trustees, you are the leaders of the school district. When you learn about all these allegations against your employee, Superintendent Phelps, including but not limited to abuse of power, conflict of interest, conspiracy theorists, you should do your due diligence to conduct a thorough investigation. A fair, evidence-based investigation could help you gain and retain trust from students, parents, and the public. Instead, your silence is deafening. You use Team PUSD as a shield and an excuse to acquiesce to Phelps' wrongdoings. Trustee Patel, I texted you several times hoping that you would intervene. I understand that you need to consult legal counsel who may advise you against speaking with the directly impacted family. However, have you even bothered to speak with your own staff, coaches, the softball players? If you have not done so yet, ask yourself why. This is a question for all you trustees. Your job is to represent parents and communities and make sure the superintendent is a trustworthy leader to be in charge of the school district. You have failed your task so far. If the harmed family has not filed a lawsuit yet, I urge you to do your job to protect the brand of Team PUSD, to protect the interest of PUSD taxpayers, parents, and students, to avoid the high legal cost. And it's your job as elected officials. You have lost trust from those precious students, and you need to take action now to earn it back. And if you don't do it, shame on you, Team PUSD, because your team do not include us. Good night.
Citizen Forest Ranch.
George. Okay.
Thank you, members of the board. Good evening. According to the Trevor Project, which is the leading organization focused on suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth, fewer than 1 in 3 transgender and non-binary youth found their homes to be gender affirming. This means that an outing to parents policy would harm more than 2/3 of the children outed by such a policy. There's story after story in the news of parents murdering their children for being LGBTQ. California is already suing the Escondido and Chino Valley school districts over their outing policies. Temporary restraining orders were issued in both of these cases to stop the schools from enforcing these policies and protecting the 2/3 of the students who would be harmed by enforcement of said policies. The restraining orders said that the state, quote, has demonstrated the likelihood that it will prevail on the merits, unquote. This means the state is likely to win the lawsuits. I don't know about everybody else, but I certainly don't want to see my tax dollars wasted on a frivolous lawsuit or making yet another lawyer rich. Worse yet, I don't want to see my tax dollars used towards a policy that would harm 2/3 of the children it impacts.
That concludes.
Thank you very much, Clerk Seitzma. We are now on consent calendar. Are there any items to pull? We'll start at the end. Mr. Trivedi, do you have any items to pull? Any items to pull, Ms. Plotsky? Ms. Cabret? Dr. Seitzma? O'Connor Ratcliffe? We do have three items to pull from staff based on public comments. 4. Can you please recite those numbers, Clerk Seitzma? What are those items?
5.3C, 5.3E, 5.3F, 5.4C.
4C?
Yes.
I'll repeat those. 5.3C, 5.3E, 5.3F, and 5.4C.
That's what I have.
Do we have those items? All right. Thank you, Clerk Seitzma. So pulling those 4 items, we can now return to action on the consent calendar minus those 4. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Is there a second? Ms. Plotsky? On a motion by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe and a second by Ms. Plotsky, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We will now proceed to those 4 pulled items. We'll start with 5.3C. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you, President Patel. This is our monthly enrollment report. This is the monthly report for our second month, ending October 6, 2023. As you can see, our total enrollment as of the second month was 34,916 students, which represents an increase of 38 students over month 1 and an attendance rate of 35.8% for this particular month. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before we proceed with board questions, we will take the public comment. Clerk Seitzma.
Citizen?
Good evening. I had a question regarding item 3C, acknowledgement of enrollment report, and under fiscal impact, it says 0. And so wondering if you're having an increase or decrease of enrollment month by month, why you're not reporting the fiscal impact as your ADA is either increasing or decreasing per month. So I suggest that going forward, the board ask for a fiscal impact so the board members can identify what the average daily attendance revenue is either increasing or decreasing per month. Thank you.
Thank you. Typically, we don't respond to public comments, but Mr. Little will offer a brief explanation.
Yes, thank you, President Patel. School districts are funded on P2 enrollment, which is in April of every year. So to track it by month is not really efficient or necessary. So we can look certainly from one P2 to the next P2, prior year to subsequent year, and certainly put that indication on the next green sheet.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further follow-up questions from the board?
They're all mine, so should I just sit here?
Sure. Any other questions from the board on this item?
I was just going to note that I brought up maybe 2 months ago that the enrollment the attendance rates are down still pretty significantly, and the amount of money that costs the district on an annual basis. And it was in the zone of $8 million, I believe, that 2% attendance drop. And, based on a lot of things, but I did ask for a plan on how we're going to address that, and we have heard some things, and moving forward, I do think that as COVID is subsiding, our attendance rate is getting better. The enrollment rate is, the ADA is affected by the attendance rate too, but I would move to approve this item.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
second with Dr. Seitzma. So we have a motion by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe, a second by Dr. Seitzma. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Our next item is 5.3E. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you again, Madam President. This is the quarterly disclosure of investments we have that are not related, well, let me put this out, related to our CFDs, our community facility districts. By statute, we're not required to invest these funds in the county treasury, so we choose not to. That's been our policy since 1996. Our fiscal agents are Zions Bank and U.S. Bank. Obviously, they're all insured at the maximum level. And this quarterly report is through September 30th, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Our public comment.
I would advise the board members to look into the CFDs and the spending of the CFDs and working with advisory committees to make sure they're being spent down and invested back into the schools and for necessary technology improvements as well as facility improvements.
Thank you. Mr. Little, do you have a comment for that? All right. No? Okay. I will comment that these CFD funds can't be used for any improvements. They're only for original construction of facilities.
They're more like paying down the mortgage that already exists. It's not for new things at this point, and most of them would not allow for technology in particular. And that's written into the language of these CFDs. So that's not even legal for us to do what you're asking for most of these. I'm not sure all of them have that language, all of them.
Yeah. The new CFD language allows for different things, but I think those, we don't have any CFDs that are under the new language. Yeah. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Seitzma. Second on a motion by Dr. Seitzma, second by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously 5-0. We're on item 3.F. Approval of quarterly Associated Student Body ASB and Student Council financial reports and ratification of ASB purchase orders. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you again, Madam President. So this is our quarterly report to the public related to our ASB funds, Associated Student Body funds, as well as the financial reports that our high schools are obligated to submit each quarter. And we've also added in about 24 purchase orders that are ratified after the fact. This is also through September 30th, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Our public comment.
Thank you. According to page 61, Chapter 6 of the FCMAT and Education Code 48930, it is suggested and fraud prevention to spend down the money in ASB and booster accounts so that that money is recognized by the students that incur those expenses. So I'm encouraging the community and the students, and so happy to see so many youth involved, that they look into the $1,940,955 sitting in ASB and booster accounts. And by the way, 31% of that money is Del Norte, so perhaps they could buy new softball uniforms or lockers. But just wondering if there is any oversight of the ASB funds to make sure that that money is spent and incurred in the current year for those students so they can take benefit. Thank you.
Mr. Little?
ASB oversight occurs at the site level. If the balances get too large, then certainly we reach out to the principals and have conversations about those balances. For the most part, some of those balances are forward-looking, so they have obligations and/or events that they're planning for, maybe 6 months out or maybe even towards the end of the year. So that's why the balances are so large. But it's a point well taken, and certainly we encourage our sites to spend the money on the year students who raise the money.
Are there any other questions from board members? Comments?
I think it's particularly telling when the elementary schools levels get really high, and that's happened once or twice as well, and we have had to encourage them to spend down They don't have the kind of expenditures that the high schools sometimes have, where they're saving money up. So I've been particularly focused when it's the elementary schools that have those high balances that tend to carry over. If we see this when it comes down to the final quarter of the year, there's some poking that starts to happen. Spend it, spend it, spend it. So, yeah. Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? On a motion by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe and a second by Dr. Seitzma. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously 5-0. The last item that was pulled off of consent is 5.4C, or was it? Yeah, 5.4C. And that is for Ms. Peterson. Approve resolution number 24-2024 entitled Endorsement of the Month of November as National Runaway and Homeless Youth Month. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you. This is an annual endorsement recognizing that our students and youth experiencing homelessness have challenges, that we work with those families and students to overcome those challenges. As I said, it's an annual resolution, and it is before you tonight.
Our public comment?
Thank you. I was surprised that the Poway Unified Boards didn't recognize that it's Veterans Day tomorrow and that we didn't salute any veterans in the audience or acknowledge them. But not surprising that we are recognizing and potentially encouraging runaway youth and not necessarily talking about how we're supporting our homeless youth and the dedicated funds that Poway Unified sets aside to support our homeless youth. So I suggest that when you're revising your resolutions, you're very clear as to how you're supporting the youth. It reads as a support for runaway youth. I think that recognizing an entire month for youth that potentially run away from their families and separate is very it's very ignorant to consider parents who have lost youth to run away, potentially on the streets to drugs or sex trafficking. And so to completely ignore our veterans, but to recognize an entire month of youth that are runaways seems a little disingenuous. So I would support if the members of the board would maybe speak up to the San Diego County Office of Education for a revised resolution when writing things such as supporting runaway in your title of your resolution.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
On a motion by Dr. Seitzma and a second by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We are now on items, where are we? 6.0. Personnel Support Services. 6.1, public hearing and approval of governing board appointee to the Personnel Commission. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Patel. At the September 27th board meeting, the trustees announced Ms. Carol Osborne as the intended appointee for Personnel Commissioner. The Personnel Commission is comprised of 3 members. One is appointed by the governing board, one is appointed by the Classified Employees Association, and a third is appointed by the other 2 members. The term for the governing board's appointee will expire on December 1st. And per our procedure, Personnel Commission staff solicit applications through public announcements and postings on NeoGov, our PUSD website, district email, and the Poway News Chieftain. It was advertised for 15 calendar days. Dr. Rebecca Lee, our Director of the Personnel Commission, received applications and reviewed each for eligibility. Per Education Code, now that the board has announced Ms. Carol Osborne as its intended nominee, the governing board this evening must open a public hearing to allow for public comment on the intended appointee's qualifications before taking a vote to make an official appointment of Ms. Carol Osborne as the new Personnel Commissioner, whose term would begin on December 1st. This evening is a 2-step process. First, to open a public hearing for any public comment, closing, and then taking a vote to make the appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. At this time, this item calls for a public hearing. I will open the hearing at 7:06 to hear any public comment on item 6.1. Are there any public comments, Clerk Seitzma?
There are none.
Hearing none, I will close this public hearing at 7:07. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you. At this time, the board is asked to take a vote to appoint your intended nominee, Ms. Carol Osborne, who is in attendance this evening in the audience. And then you can make the final appointment to begin December 1st.
Thank you. That being said, do we have a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dr. Seitzma. On a motion by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe and a second by Dr. Seitzma. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We are now on item 6.2, approval of new classification and salary allocation, Executive Director, Finance, Budget, and Accounting. This is an action item. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Patel. As part of a district plan to restructure the finance department, it's recommended to develop the new classification of Executive Director, Finance, Budget, and Accounting. It will provide a higher level oversight, knowledge, and expertise of the district's finances and budgets in light of the considerable growth of our budget and the reporting requirement standards under the law. The position will oversee both the Director of Finance and the Director of Payroll positions in order to enhance the efficiencies of our digital schools processes and internal controls by moving the payroll team under the Executive Director position. This will allow for improved accounting redundancies between both the payroll and finance departments. As part of the restructure, the Assistant Director of Finance position, which is currently vacant, will be eliminated, and this funding will be used for the new Executive Director position. The classification description was recently approved by the Personnel Commission on October 23rd, and it's recommended that the salary of the position be allocated to range 26 on the management salary schedule based on a compensation review and a commensurate scope of responsibility of similar positions in other comparative school districts.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board on this item? No questions at this time? All right. Is there a motion? This is an action item. Thank you. Is there a second? On a motion by Ms. Plotsky and a second by Dr. Seitzma, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We're on item 6.3. This is an action item, approval of reclassification from school secretary to school administrative specialist 1. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Madam President. In response to appeals from incumbents in the school secretary classification who are assigned at 4 district high schools, the recent Educational Management Solutions classification study recommendation was reevaluated. Historically, positions assigned to provide secretarial and administrative support for assistant principals at district middle schools and high schools were staffed as a school secretary on salary range 29. However, with the opening of Westview High School, the School Administrative Specialist 1 classification that we refer to as SASE was created, and these support positions were filled at a higher level salary range 33 based on the intention that these positions would operate at a higher technical level, performing a higher degree of data gathering and processing. Under the receipt of the appeal, a full desk audit of these positions in these 2 job classes was conducted. The interviews and audit confirmed that both the school secretary and SASE classifications assigned at the high schools provide administrative support and perform a varied office technical duty, and similarly structured and commensurate with that, the essential functions performed by the school secretary and the SASE incumbents is comparable. The external market data related to the school secretary classification was disaggregated distinguished between middle and high school levels in comparative districts. And at the middle school level, the current salary allocation for school secretary at range 29 is above the market median. However, conversely, at the high school level, the district positions are under the market median, and comparative districts compensate similar positions at high schools equivalent to that of our PUSD SASE position. Therefore, it's based on the appeal audit, it's recommended that positions in Exhibit A on your agenda item be reclassified from school secretary from salary range 29 to the School Administrative Specialist 1 on salary range 33.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe.
Mr. Jimenez, the fiscal impact noted, is that for all 10 employees? Is that annually? I was unclear.
Yes, that is an annual amount. for all those employees that would be reclassified.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Who did the second? Thank you. On a motion by Ms. O'Connor Ratcliffe and a second by Ms. Plotsky, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We are now on item 6.4. This is the 2022-2023 Annual Report of the Personnel Commission. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Patel. Each year, our Personnel Commission provides an annual report to the Personnel Commissioners and historically have presented a brief summary of the accomplishments and the work of the Personnel Commission staff. I'd like to welcome and invite Dr. Rebecca Lee, our Director of the Personnel Commission, who will present a summary of the annual report that you've already received.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Phelps, Cabinet, and Board of Trustees. I am happy to be here this evening to share with you the Personnel Commission's 2022-2023 Annual Report. Additionally, I would like to congratulate and welcome Ms. Carol Osborne as our newest Personnel Commissioner. I look forward to working with her and carrying out the duties of the Personnel Commission. In recognition that we're about to kick off a 3-day weekend, I will streamline my presentation as much as possible. Next slide, please. The goal of the merit system is to provide a personnel management system that is driven by standards of equity, fairness, and impartiality in the selection, retention, and promotion of classified employees. The work that the Personnel Commission performs is driven by education code mandates, the Uniform Guidelines on Employee Selection Procedures, as well as federal and state laws, which are enforced by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Next slide, please. This particular slide provides an overview of some of the ways that the Board of Education and Personnel Commission work together to accomplish the goals of the district. The board sets policy and makes decisions. The Personnel Commission implements those decisions utilizing a fair and unbiased process. Next slide, please. Just as the district is governed by a board of trustees, the Personnel Commission is governed by 3 personnel commissioners. For the 2022-2023 year in review, our 3 commissioners were Mr. David Little, Ms. Margaret Wyatt, and Mr. David Aguirre. Next slide, please. This particular photo shows the small but mighty Personnel Commission staff who have been tremendous in supporting the classified recruitment, examination, and selection process for classified positions with the Poway Unified School District. Next slide, please. These 2 charts provide a summary of the work that was performed by the staff during the 2022-23 fiscal year. A few areas that I did want to highlight were our total placements. We placed 1,750 positions. 1,049 of those were in actual contracted positions. The remaining 701 assignments were for limited term, or what we call substitute assignments, summer school, as well as extended school year assignments. We also had an increase in unique recruitments. So we opened up 191 unique recruitments. And part of that increase was due to us creating more targeted recruitment pools to promote limited term substitute positions for our custodial staff, for our clerical staff, for our instructional assistants. Additionally, we were opening a lot of targeted recruitments for unique positions, as well as specialized hiring needs for some of our school sites and departments. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is how quickly I'm streamlining this for you. This particular slide shows the race demographics of our new hires in the last fiscal year. We hired 553 brand new employees for contracted positions in the 2022-2023 fiscal year. This accounts for approximately 20% of our contracted classified staff. The Personnel Commission is committed to supporting the district's goals in fostering a diverse and inclusive workforce. We do that through fair, impartial, and equitable recruitment and selection processes that support the principles of equal opportunity employment. This slide reflects the self-reported race demographics of these new employees. I wanted to share this information to identify the people that comprise our workforce, as well as what our current classified recruitment and selection efforts look like. Additionally, demographics are critical in helping us identify and understand the employee experience of individuals with different backgrounds and identities. Next slide, please. This next slide gives us an indication of where the placements are for these new hires. I grouped them by vacancies over 10%. So for the 2022-2023 school year, of the 553 brand new employees, approximately 22% were placed in instructional assistant 1 and 2 special education vacancies. The second largest placement went to before and after school programs for our program aid, ACES, and ESS, with noon duties comprising the third largest brand new employee vacancy placement. Next slide, please. To reflect some of our notable accomplishments for 2022-2023, as outlined here, we did fill 1,049 contracted positions. Part of that has to do with our ability to streamline our testing standards as well as streamline our onboarding efforts. So we've pivoted a lot to online and remote testing for multiple choice testing, oral interviews, as well as utilizing DocuSign for the onboarding process. Additionally, we increased and diversified our recruitment and hiring efforts. This included our very first same-day selection fair, where 94 offers of employment were made in a 3-hour period. Our same-day selection fair served as a one-stop shop for applicants to walk in, get assistance with application and testing needs, interview for positions they qualified for, and were offered a position the very same day. Additionally, those brand new candidates, potential employees, were processed, live scanned, and attended a new employee orientation that included information about benefits and payroll. We were able to do this with our high vacancy positions such as special education instructional assistant, program aide, noon duty, and food service workers. Additionally, we have offered targeted hiring fairs to fill special education vacancies, and we recently held a Sweet 16 hiring fair for our 16 schools with the highest number of special education vacancies. At that particular recruitment fair and hiring fair, we had 30 offers of employment that same day. Additionally, the Personnel Commission staff have been attending more in-person job fairs to source potential applicants for the district. This has included job fairs focused on diversity, community-centered job fairs, as well as local community college job fairs. Next slide, please. And one of our biggest accomplishments this year was working with EMS to review the remaining classification cycles for years 3 through 6. This included coordinating and facilitating over 75 focus groups with employees and supervisors, and sending out revised job descriptions to all incumbents for additional input. The coordinated effort included a review of 152 classifications. It included an internal equity review as well as an external equity review looking at our benchmark wages and classifications. This eventually resulted in 77 salary reallocations for position classifications, as well as an approximate 50 reclassifications of employees to date. Next slide, please. To summarize our goals for 2023-2024, we did receive over 203 employee appeals regarding the EMS classification study. which covers 48 classifications. That's a pretty significant amount of appeals, and the Personnel Commission has been tasked with responding to and reviewing those appeals. And so that's what my department will be doing during the course of this 23-24 fiscal year. Additionally, we will continue to develop strong and collaborative relationships. We've already kicked off what we call chats with the commission, where Personnel Commission staff members make appointments with school sites and invite staff members to come out and ask us questions and get information about what the Personnel Commission does, information about promotional opportunities, testing, and things of that nature. Additionally, we will continue to increase and diversify our recruitment and selection efforts. Our next hiring fair bonanza will hopefully include a school bus parked out front of the district office as we provide targeted recruitment and hiring efforts for bus drivers and bus driver trainees. And we will continue to collaborate with Personnel Support Services and the Poway School Employees Association to support onboarding and employee training needs. Next slide. That concludes my streamlined presentation this evening. I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Rebecca, for that wonderful presentation. Streamlined for our convenience. But we do have all the information in our packet, so I do appreciate that. It's a very, very thorough report. Are there any questions from board members?
I have one.
Yes, Ms. Kubrat.
So, you know, we always look at the new hires and the people who've left, and it's a significant number of people that leave every month. And I see that you're trying to do a retention, whatever. What can we do, or how do we do exit interviews? How do we try to keep these people from leaving? Because you go through all this effort of recruiting, all this effort of testing, all this effort of training, and then they leave, and you must start all over again. And I can't imagine what that dollar amount is as we have this high turnover rate, especially in our special ed aid area.
And that's why I wanted to highlight where a lot of our brand-new employees are coming through, which is our special education vacancies and program aid. And so a few ways that we've been trying to identify how to retain employees, of course, is that classification and compensation review aspect and assessing what our wages look like with comparative school districts. So that was one piece of it. But I do have to highlight a theme that seems to come forward a lot is that new employees hired into the special education vacancies for instructional assistant special education, I don't think they feel prepared for stepping into that role. And so that is a common theme we're starting to hear, is that I'm not ready for this position. And that might be an area that we might need to provide some more training and support to individuals stepping into those positions. I have been having discussions with like Escondido Union as well as San Diego Unified about some of their paraprofessional structures in terms of support for special education instructional assistants. And I hope to have maybe some additional conversations with the district and PSEA about ways that we can support brand new employees. I know PSEA does provide some training as well, but maybe there's a way that we could provide that additional support in both the onboarding and training process to prepare employees for taking on these particular critical roles. And that is also part of my 23-24 is thinking of ways that we can enhance training efforts for our current employees who might not feel supported or might feel overwhelmed stepping into a new role. And then, of course, the onboarding process. That's also a critical piece, too. And so that's where we've kind of started that new same-day hiring process where we have some more of that onboarding, discussion, welcoming aspect. I'm hoping to do more of those in combination with personnel support services as well as PSEA so that we can provide that more targeted, welcoming environment and then also step in with that additional training as needed.
I actually have two follow-up questions to that. One is, when we have turnover, do we track whether they're going to other positions within the school district, like transitioning from noon duty to instructional assistant to an admin position, et cetera. Is that significant?
So we can track those things. We do have, on the page that I had, those two charts, you get an idea of how many were promotional opportunities as well as transfer opportunities. So I do have to say, we do have a significant amount of transfers that still happen, and then when a transfer situation happens, that opens up another vacancy, right? And of course, when a promotion happens, that also opens up another vacancy. So we're actually doing pretty well with the promotional aspect of things. We do have our program aides tend to promote into our instructional assistant vacancies. And we do have, like, our office assistant or instructional assistants will promote into our administrative office clerical positions. So we do have the ability to track what that looks like as well.
Thank you. And the second follow-up question is in regards to the training. I somehow have this vague memory, and maybe it's just something I've made up in my head, that we worked with the adult ed programs to put on some kind of trainings. I thought they were for instructional assistants, but maybe I'm misremembering.
So I do believe, from what I have read, that maybe they do offer a course. It's not necessarily for our current employees, but that is a relationship we could develop with Kathleen Porter and that department. And also having maybe some sort of, and I'll give you an idea, San Diego Unified and Escondido Union have lead support in that area. So they have individuals who are there to help train their instructional assistants, rotate, check in on them, and they're assigned to particular, areas throughout the district. So maybe having opportunities for that where we have that support system who are there to assist with the check-in aspect, the training, the shadowing to make sure that our brand new employees are feeling comfortable once they're in the classroom. So those are all viable things that we could look at in terms of training and preparing brand new staff and current staff for these particular roles.
Thank you for those responses. Are there any other questions from board members? Yes, Ms. Cabret. Go for it.
I know we have outrageous wait lists for ESS, and of course I blame a late start, not getting our high school kids out there to help. Do you see any better solutions as far as getting enough people out there so that we can get more kids involved? Is that kind of the hiring fair focus? Are you going to universities?
We do. Those are part of our, special targeted same-day hiring fairs because we have so many vacancies. And I know that I've been part of discussions between PSCA and the district about things we could do to attract new employees into those positions. One of the things is for that particular classification, we're also competing. Most of them are part-time positions that don't offer benefits. We're also competing with the local employers. So you now see where fast food is going to move to $20 an hour. And so, those are things that we are competing with. And other school districts who might be offering stipends or sign-on bonuses. I know that Vista Unified has a sign-on bonus for brand new bus drivers. So those are other elements that we're competing with as well. And then, of course, with other, Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, so those are all conversations that we could continue to have between the two entities about what we need to do to entice people to, come and take part-time positions. I don't have the 100% solution for you right now, but it is something that we're continuously trying to target and get people involved in. But as I said, they are part-time positions, and a lot of the people who are coming to the district are looking for 30, 40-hour positions that come with benefits and retirement plans. So that would be one of our issues with keeping and attracting people into those part-time positions.
Thank you. All right, thank you. This was a wonderful information item.
Great,
We
thank
welcome
you.
it. We are now on item 7.1, Capital Projects Prioritization Plan Update. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. This evening, staff will present a brief update on the capital projects prioritization plan that the board reviewed and commented on in February of 2021. So at this time, our Facilities and Maintenance Director, Mr. Aris, and our Planning Director, Ms. Alschbach, will make the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. We'll hand it over to Ray to kick it off.
Good evening. Thank you, Associate Superintendent Little. Sorry, I haven't done this lately. So if we can have the next slide, thank you. So what we wanted to do as we're finishing out our facility master plan updates with all the sites, we thought it was a good time to come back and present to you some of the projects that we've completed from our 5-year plan, just to kind of give you a status update of where we are. Some of the information, just to bring you back to what we talked about and what we shared, this project list will include some additional projects that we got permission to add to the list. It's not going to look at what our safety and security current projects that we're working on. We talked about the available funding. We're going to review kind of what we thought we were going to have, what we've spent, and what we look for in the future. We also want to go over what our prioritization was, what we looked at, how we found these projects, how we developed them. So what we focused on was a facility master plan. We looked at safety and security. We looked at growth. We looked at modernization needs. And we also kind of focused on some routine maintenance and also some energy efficiency projects. Next slide, please. So I apologize. This is the worst of the slides. But if you remember, we had a big page for you. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of just to remind you what we presented before. So for the audience in the back, I'll explain it. The top is looking at the funding. We'll see that on another slide. The bottom portion is looking at 45 different projects that we categorize as their importance, again, where modernization, where it was growth, how they fell within a facility master plan, and how we expected to fund them over the next 5 years and what those funding sources were. Okay, if we can go to the next slide, please. Here we're going to look at the actual funding, what we anticipated over the next 5 years, those funding sources, what those resources look like, and what we expected in each year. The next slide, and we had I'm still on this one. So we had anticipated $81 million in revenue to spend over the next 5 years, and as you can see, we're in 23, 24, and we've already either expensed or we have budgeted or allocated $81 million in projects. And I just wanted to share, based on this list, we have accomplished $46 million in projects. We have another 12.7 coming about. And in design phase and new projects, we have about $22 million. That's how we get to our 81. If we can go to the next slide, please. So here's a list of the projects that we've either completed in the past 4 years, that we're currently working on, that are in some stage of design or planning, and that we expect to complete at the end of this fiscal year. If the world works with us, that's our goal. Just to talk about it again, we have 26 projects that we've completed of the 48, and we expect to have 8 more coming up, so a total of 34 of the 45 projects we hope to have completed by the end of this fiscal year. Next slide, please. I just wanted to share, because they weren't on the original list, what were those additional projects that we brought forward. What we try to do is work with our partners in LSS and Student Support Services and Tech and Innovation if projects come about. And one of the projects that came to the front was the need for expansion and transition at Abraxas. So we added that project. We also had some HVAC at some of the school sites. So we've added 3 projects at RB, Meadowbrook, and Poway High that we are planning to work on this year also. Okay, now, I think one slide is missing.
No.
Okay, sorry.
So
I'm going to turn it over to Director Aris, and he's going to show you some of the projects that we've completed.
Okay, so right here at RB, we removed our some modernization project here. We removed the berms away from all the classrooms, created some collaboration spaces, and improved our curb appeal in our interior. Next slide. Del Norte High School, we built 8 science classrooms. added 3 artificial turf fields, stadium lighting, and a team room on this project. Next slide. Poway High School was resurfaced. That was a great project, much needed from the original surface as well. Next slide, please. This is one of our new projects that we'll be restarting in the summer of next year, 24. Westview High School will include 3 classrooms and a fabrication room to support the site growth. Next slide, please. Braxis High School. We have 3 classrooms here and a support space, landscaping around this artificial turf area in the middle, a shade structure, and a improvement to the existing portable classrooms that are in this area. Next slide, please. Mount Carmel Track received restoration. That's on that one. Next slide. Highland Ranch Elementary was a roofing project and exterior painting project. This was done, and fascia as well was improved. This was site-wide. Next slide. Park Village Elementary, roof restoration throughout the campus and fascia repair. Also exterior painting here as well. Next slide, please.
To note, into deferred maintenance, so this will be our focus as we move forward related to projects. And that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you very much for those presentations. Do we have any questions from board members? Yes, go for it.
First slide 5, where you have the list of all the projects that you've completed.
Yes.
Is there a certain way that you're organizing them or listing them? Is there, because I just look, I see Poway High here and Poway High here. And
No,
I'm
it's
just trying to
just-
get an overall grasp of it, and I'm just trying to group it myself. And
No, when I just actually filtered it by what was completed. I didn't do it in alphabetical order or anything. It's almost kind of in the order as they were on the original spreadsheet. So that's the biggest. We had some of the projects that were at the bottom, sort of the 24-25 year, that during that board workshop, we were asked to bring forward. So they may have moved up, but there really isn't a special order.
Okay, thank you. Just
You're
trying to
welcome.
look at it. Thanks.
So is it correct to say now that we have expended the money that we have in our CFD accounts for that growth in those spaces, particularly Del Norte and Westview and any of the CFD spaces?
We have expended the CFD resources that we allocated for these 45 projects. We have some set aside for some other projects that may or may not happen in the future, and we're also looking at using some of those CFD funds to continue to support the special tax reduction plan.
Thank you. That is what I was looking for. Thanks very much.
Just to clarify that, the ones you were talking about, there was one at Del Sur. I think that was the one that was lingering still.
That was the big one, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Ms. Platsky.
So, just to piggyback on her question, so that means with the 200 and some $1,000 that we have left in the fund, we have 24 of the 45 projects done with the budget that we had scheduled out.
Right,
Am
we
I
expect
correct
to
in
have
that?
34 of the 45 done.
34, okay,
Mhm.
'cause I had 34 written, and then he said 45. So that's 9 projects still then not done out of the original money?
Correct.
Or you're gonna get a great deal somewhere. Okay, just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, I must say, I'm excited to see some of this work happening. Our facilities, it's, a special place for me to see our facilities improved, and I know we've had a lot of need. There's still an incredible amount of need throughout the district that I'm seeing as I walk campuses. So thank you for making progress. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Our next item is 9.1, approval of 2023-2024 Special Education Community Advisory Committee members. This is an action item. Mr. Mizell.
So in accordance with the Special Education Local Plan and California Education Code, the Special Education Community Advisory Committee, or CAC, composed of PUSD parent volunteers, advocates for students with disabilities and advises the Board of Education on the priorities of the special education local plan area. Members of this group are appointed annually by the Board of Education. At this time, I'd like to request that the board approve the slate of appointees presented to serve on the 2023-2024 Special Education Community Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mizell. This is an action item with a preferential vote from our student board member. Are there any questions for Mr. Mizell at this time? No? Is there a motion? On a motion by Ms. Plotsky, is there a second? Second by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. With your preferential vote, Ms. Trivedi? It's an aye. Remaining board members? Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. We are now on item 12.1. We're doing our reports and comments. We'll go to 12.2 first, Superintendent's report.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Phelps.
Thank you, President Patel. We have some recognitions to report, including Mount Carmel and Poway High School earning the prestigious Project Lead the Way School of Distinction honor for increasing access to computer science, engineering, and biomedical science. Congratulations. This month, our Studio 7-1 interns are highlighting the exploration program, providing all PUSD elementary school students with PE, STEM, coding, and visual and performing arts lessons. Take a look.
At Shoal Creek Elementary School, students always look forward to the excitement of Exploration Day. Today, these students are receiving a STEM lesson, applying design thinking to the science of flight and space travel.
Today, we learned about NASA and building a landing platform. When humans land on Mars, they won't fall out or they're safe and they don't break their bones or die. They explained it was important because they're going at 13,000 miles an hour and you have to stop it so it doesn't just crash and fall into many pieces.
Every day, an expert team of 20 exploration teachers visits 2 to 3 Poway Unified Elementary Schools, bringing them standards-based content in physical education.
So the goal of exploration was, what can we do to bring a program that is the same, that they're all getting the same experience?
Every student at every PUSD elementary school experiences the benefits of the exploration program.
It's just fun and challenging, and it keeps you on your toes, and you're always learning every day. Never the same thing twice.
I think it really allows students to come out of their shells in ways as well, especially if they're doing the theater and the drama part, that maybe we don't get to see so much because they don't have that on a regular basis every day in their classroom.
Along with STEM and theater, the exploration program also offers many other content lessons, including PE, music, dance, and visual arts. Most recently, the exploration program has integrated various global cultures and language lessons.
Being half Filipino, I get the opportunity to share a little bit of my culture and my language. Students are so eager to talk to me about their own cultures and their own languages, and that's truly special to me.
While students are with the exploration team, their classroom teachers are released for professional collaboration time with their colleagues.
It allows us to step outside of our classrooms and collaborate with one another. I think that is that sacred time that we know is going to be used for our team to get our team business done.
While educators love exploration as an innovative model of instruction, students love it because exploration makes learning more active and fun.
I like exploration because you get to do PE.
For the Excellence in Education series, I'm Brooke Rosenberg, Studio 701.
It's such a joy to see the exploration program in action. The fun, expertise, and enthusiasm that the teachers bring to teaching and learning is so inspiring. A great job to our interns, and what a fun piece. This week is National School Psychology Week, and the pandemic really brought into focus the importance of supporting our students' overall well-being. I want to thank our school psychologists for their hard work and expertise in mental health, learning, and behavior to help our students succeed academically, socially, behaviorally, and emotionally. In just a couple of weeks, many of us will celebrate Thanksgiving with our loved ones. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of our hardworking PUSD staff and students. You have made the first few months of school of the school year, truly something to celebrate and to be proud of. Through finals, report cards, performances, competitions, and all the fun squeezed in between, it's been a magical year so far. So keep up the good work, Poway Unified, and that concludes my report. Have a restful and wonderful Thanksgiving break.
Thank you, Dr. Phelps. We will now move on to board member reports. We can start at the end. Ms. Trivedi.
Good evening. Many students across the district started the month of November off strong with a day off to rejuvenate and relax after Halloween. Many students asked me to express that they appreciate the district scheduled that day off then. For this past month, I have been working with Turn Up, a nonprofit organization working to register young people to vote. We are hoping to potentially use our high school ambassador programs as liaisons through which we can register eligible students to vote. We hope to register a record number of PUSD students to vote for the upcoming elections. Additionally, I discussed digital literacy with multiple student groups across the district this month. Many student groups, including those from Del Norte and other high schools, expressed that they are concerned about a lack of digital literacy in our schools. I'm looking forward to learning more about how, with the advent of artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT, we can continue to enrich our students' education while keeping them safe. Lastly, this month, I will be attending the annual education conference in San Francisco with the rest of the Board of Education. I look forward to this professional development opportunity and learning how I can better serve our students and expand my governance horizons. And with Thanksgiving break coming up, I hope everyone, including all students, have a great and restful break, and I personally am incredibly thankful for the numerous educational opportunities that PUSD has given me. Not only have I learned how to write better, speak better, and be a kinder person, but I have loved to learn, and I hope that we can continue to give numerous opportunities to our students to help them love to learn as well.
Thank you. Ms. Plutsky.
Good evening. I attended the October Personnel Commission meeting and happened to be at the district office during the one day that the district personnel team was having their hiring fair. Our PUSD team was having interviews, tests, was hiring, and onboarded qualified new employees all at once during these fairs. By the end of the day, 30 new employees joined Team PUSD. The Inclusive Practices team did a walkthrough at Garden Road Elementary School, which afterwards we had a panel discussion on what was working for them, what hasn't worked, and how those ideas can be carried throughout the school district with other schools. I attended the Live Well conference in San Diego last week, where I went to panels on everything from inclusive practices and ways of ways of improving district tardiness and absenteeism. There were a multitude of big and small takeaways from the conference that was put on by the San Diego County Office of Education. I attended the last Palomar PTA meeting of 2023, and they will be back in January virtually. Before I end my report, I'd like to say happy 248th birthday to our Marine families tomorrow, and remind everybody to think of veteran as you see them this weekend. Actually, as you see them whenever you on the street, you should thank them. You have no idea how much a gesture like that means when you see a veteran with their hat on or just a t-shirt. I know it does both to my husband, who will be celebrating the birthday tomorrow and throughout the weekend, and to my 96-year-old bonus father who fought in both World War II and Korea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plotsky. Ms. Couvret?
So first I attended the Poway Palomar Middle College Fall Showcase. It's always great to see the students' projects, listen to the band, and talk to the students, parents, teachers, and admin. On only its second year, it has made a priority for the students to have school pride, traditional experiences, and leadership roles, all while blazing the trail for alternative education. They They identified where they need some support and some tweaks that are very much needed. The students are excelling as they pursue college credit and real work experience. I got to play at Chaparral for 2 hours cutting my 900 leaves for our Thanksgiving basket campaign. Each class adopts a family and fills a box with all the wonderful things from stuffing to marshmallows to staples like spaghetti and jelly. I'll let you know exact numbers when we meet again, but I've already collected over $800 and we still have a week to go. One thing that was fun was I was hanging out in the teacher mailbox area, and so many of the teachers came in that my kids have, and I think we're losing about 5 teachers to retirement this year, so that's going to be very sad at Chaparral, but unfortunately we have a good group of new ones. I had a surprise while I was there. It happened to be Exploration Day, and Director Eddie Park was there. He and his amazing team of foreign language teachers were on site to do a lesson. I was able to watch a 3rd to 5th grade Korean lesson, and I loved seeing the engagement of the students, and it's always fun to absorb some of Director Park's positive energy and love for this amazing program. After seeing the garden club at Poway Palomar Middle College and hearing issues with the Chaparral Garden, I went to my incredible resource, Bob Ludekin, at the Abraxas Garden. I had a wonderful time watching the kids bring in and mix the coffee grounds they had picked up from the local Starbucks and learn the process from the soil as well as their aquaponics system. The amount of produce that they donate is remarkable, but the experiences they provide for our students who may never have eaten bok choy are priceless. I want to encourage you all to go to a Veterans Day event. We have amazing ones at Webb Park. We have amazing ones at Poway Veterans Park. And also so many of our kids actually perform there. And it is a great way to mark this year. And finally, I hope everyone has a fantastic Thanksgiving break.
Thank you, Ms. Kubrat. Dr. Seitzma.
Thank you. It has been a crazy busy, spectacular month. Here are just a few highlights from my month. First of all, for all of our high school students who just finished finals today for first trimester, enjoy your day off and your 3-day weekend. Be ready to rev up for Tri 2 on Monday. After 2 decades, I returned to Cal State San Marcos to guide a group of seventh graders around the campus with their AVID class. It was a lot of fun watching them take in the campus, the athletic fields, eat in the student union, have a presentation from a handful of professors, and interview college students. The campus only had 3 buildings when I was last there, so needless to say, I learned a lot too. Earlier this week, I went and cheered on the Poway High girls field hockey team in their first CIF game. It was an intense game. La Jolla tied the game with 1 second on the clock, but Poway girls prevailed. I'm not sure how they did tonight. I will find out. But good luck. I hope they did well, and to all of our fall teams still competing in CIF, good luck to all of you. I visited Garden Road twice this month. For the past 11 years, my favorite way to start Halloween was to watch the Storybook Parade. This year was no different. I walked down to watch the Storybook Parade. Everyone was surprised to see me there, but hey, it was always the best show in the morning and the happiest place in the community in Halloween, and my opinion will never change on that. And second, my kids don't even want to dress up anymore, so... And second, the Inclusive Practices Advisory presentation. Garden Road was my home away from home for 11 years. I lived there. If I wasn't volunteering, I was subbing in the classroom. Most of the time, it was in one of the special needs programs. There were significant challenges and obstacles at school. I will not go into the details. The walls that have been brought down, the collaboration by all the staff, not to mention the compassionate shift, the vision of the school. I could go on and on. I am beyond proud of how hard they have all worked to be where they are right now and have a map as to the next steps to continue to do better by all students. Dia de los Muertos is one of the most beautiful celebrations. I was honored to see both Poway High and Valley Elementary's tribute to this holiday. Mariachi bands, marigolds, sugar skulls, luminaries, and ofrendas with so many pictures of loved ones our students had lost. I was moved by how many pet photos there were. We are blessed by how many cultures are represented in our community that we all can learn from. There are so many veterans in our community. I have one in my household. Veterans are proud and humble. If you are a veteran, thank you for your service. Thanksgiving is 2 weeks away. Enjoy your bountiful feast and the company of those you will hold dear and the rest of having that week off. And with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Dr. Seitzma. Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe.
I'll just tag on to that Inclusive Practices Advisory Board piece. I wouldn't claim to know as much about Garden Road as you do, but it was very, very impressive. Their practices are innovative and obviously quite hard-won, as we heard from the panel of both general education and special education staff who spoke to us, who said it's really hard, and they kind of detailed how hard it was, but said it's worth it. And they're still going through it, but it appears that they're narrowing in on this win time, what I need time, as a model that's really working for them this year, whereas they were reflecting on last year, nothing worked last year, but this year, everything's really rolling for them. So I appreciated that and their recognition that it does require a lot of planning, a lot of timing, a lot of collaboration to get it right, and they were willing to put in that time and to share it with all of us. And when we have an elementary school who can find that magic sauce, it's going to be so worth it to push it out to other sites, and they're willing to put in that work and the trial and error so that other sites don't have to experience that in the same way. So thank you to Mr. Mizell and team for bringing us there. That was really, really special, I thought. Also, while I'm on it, kudos to Associate Superintendent Mizell and his Inclusive Practices team for all of the very innovative professional development you're offering. There was a question earlier about training for our new instructional assistants in special education, and I know that's happening like crazy through your department, maybe not through the Personnel Commission. And I think your team is doing a phenomenal job. I've seen the slideshows. They're fabulous. I also this month spent a lot of time at both Westview and Mount Carmel. Westview for pep rally and float judging and speed painting and principal coffee talk, lunch games with the PTSA Student Wellness Committee. A word on that, it's phenomenal to see these teenagers just finding joy in these little things like the giant Jenga. Connect 4 when they pull out the bottom and all the huge pieces fall and just make noise. I mean, they were having fun like they were small kids again, and it was fantastic to see. I just loved it. It actually made me think of, and that is the goal for their PTSA Wellness Committee. I love their goals there. It made me think of watching Encanto at my house. What else can I do? What could you do if you knew it didn't need to be perfect, it just needed to be? What can you do? Sorry, I wrote down the lyric because I loved that song, but anyway, I lost it now. At Mount Carmel, the other thing at Westview, all of our high schools have been doing their fall shows. Westview's The Plot Like Gravy Thickens was hilarious with a murder mystery with audience participation and improv. They were so good. And Murder is in the air because Mount Carmel is doing Clue. 2 more shows tomorrow and Saturday. I'll be there, can't wait. I think that closes it down for me. I will do better next time for those of you who said, hey, you forgot our show. I tuned in late to all of the fall shows. I apologize. I'll get it. When we get to the next group, I will post them all, I promise, and I'll be at as many as I can. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. Good evening, everybody. As usual, I have attended many events through the district and on behalf of the district, and I'll highlight just a few. It's hard to believe we're already into November. Since we last met, there's been much activity at the school site level. I had the pleasure of helping with homecoming float judging once again at Westview. I love this tradition and was very impressed with the creativity, craftsmanship, and team spirit. Seniors won, of course. Somehow that seems to be part of the tradition too. I was also able to join the facilities team at Adobe Bluffs Elementary to review their facilities master plan site needs with the consultant and the architect. We were able to review the original needs assessment to verify which projects were completed, pending, partially completed, and what new issues have arisen since our last assessment. It's It's great to see that we're staying on top of the facilities needs to help us better strategize for the future. On the district level, I had the honor and pleasure of helping host visiting educational administrators from South Korea. We toured them around a few of our school sites and had engaging conversations. Interestingly, some questions that were asked were around our technology use, behavior management in the classroom. Frankly, they were impressed with the level of focus our young students demonstrated while doing their independent work. And also, we talked about playground time, commenting that South Korean families tend to be much more risk-averse when it comes to children's playtime at school. That was something I didn't really know about. On behalf of the district, I'm on the Honoring Our Own Planning Committee for the county-wide awards, and we had our first meeting. Lots of planning work ahead for that award ceremony in May. We will be pushing out those nomination forms in the coming days, and I've been asked to be I've been asked to be a panelist at the annual education conference that we'll all be at with our advocacy firm, Cal SSD. We spent an afternoon prepping for our panel discussion titled The Impacts of Political Divisiveness on Schools, Students, and Governance. On a more sobering note, the holidays, whether it's from Veterans Day all the way through the holidays that we'll go through New Year's Day, can be a tricky time for some folks in our community. While it provides opportunity for much appreciation for people who serve and for thanks and in reflection, and maybe also forgiveness, for many it's also a time of celebration and family gatherings. But for others, it comes with some anxiety, regret, and maybe even longing. Please check in with those family and friends and neighbors and loved ones for changes in behavior, and make sure to tap on them and just check in. It can be a real tricky time for some folks. And with that, I conclude my report. That brings us to item 14, which is adjournment. The next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held on Thursday, December 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. right here in the school district office. We will see you then. Meeting's adjourned at